and welcome to another episode of The Social Lockdown. My name is Ryan Paul Troy, the Yorkshire filmmaker, and today I'm joined by the guys from State of Error. How are you doing, guys?
Hello.
Hello.
We're doing well, yeah.
Hello.
I'm glad.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, I suppose. Just trying to keep myself sane, mainly.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll go from how I can see it on my screen, which is Danny. First, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the band.
What do in the band?
Yeah, just tell us a bit about yourself, what you do in the band.
I am the band jester. I'd like to say that I'm the fun one. I am kind of half giving you a guided tour of my house now, unintentional. I just need to move. Not cribs. Yeah, I'm the drummer. And I'm going kind of insane because this whole lockdown thing is not fun.
No, it's not at all. Richard.
Yeah. Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I sing and play guitar, and yeah, that's it, really. That's me in a nutshell.
Fair
This is my
enough.
house. You've had the guided tour at Danny's. I'm not giving you a guided tour.
This is my house. I know I'm sort of in a, I'm in a mixed, this is sort of like mine and Beth's office, and we sort of share it, so.
Nice.
So yeah, it's all right. And what about yourself? It's up, there we go. And just tell us who you are and what you play in the band.
This for me.
Yeah.
No, the audio cut out. No, audio cut out.
It's probably because you're walking around.
Yeah, I'm Mikey. I play bass in the band, do a bit of backing, and yeah, that's really it.
Sounds
Lives in a field.
So
I
obviously
thought I'd
you
give you a
guys.
tour of the garden instead of the inside.
No, garden's good. To be honest with you, I'd like to go to a garden myself, but I don't really have much of a garden, so it's a bit annoying. So tell us a little bit about yourselves as a band. You've been around for a few years now, haven't you? So
we've been around since sort of the dinosaurs were extinct, and then State of Error started. That's pretty much how it happened. This will be our 14th year now as a band.
Is it that many?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is a lot, actually, isn't it? It's and not a lot of bands can turn around and say they've been together for that long.
No, that's crazy.
It begs the question, doesn't it? At which point do you actually give up?
But obviously, you're doing something that you all love. You've been doing it for a long time. So, what sort of first inspired you to start making music? I'll start with you, Danny.
For me personally, it was probably round about the time American Idiot came out. Probably is that 2004 now.
Yeah, it'd be a long time ago. That.
Yeah, I was listening to rock music again, and I just felt like picking an instrument up, and realised that I was useless on guitar, so switched to drums, and not really looked back since. It's been good.
Fair enough. And what about yourself? Richard will go first.
I was kind of brought up with music. My dad was really into punk, so I grew up with a lot of that when I was younger. Bands like the Sex Pistols and Stiff Little Fingers and the Specials. So I was brought up around the scene, and then probably a similar time when I was about 14, and like American Idiot came out, the Blink-182 self-titled album come out. And I really got into another band called The Matches that inspired me to want to pick up a guitar myself and start playing and writing music.
All right, cool. And what about yourself, Mikey?
Probably around 2003. I started listening to like Chili Peppers, Blink, Green Day, Good Charlotte. After about a year of listening to that music, I was like, I think me and Danny were like having chats, and he started getting drum lessons off his cousin a couple of times, and I thought, there was a bass line about, so I picked it up, and I thought, yeah, let's just keep this going and see what happens.
I've noticed you've been playing guitar quite a bit recently as well, haven't you?
Okay.
You've been playing guitar again about recently as well. I've noticed that you've been doing that on your Facebook and that.
Yeah, Richard, you did it last weekend, didn't you?
Well, you've been playing some acoustic as well. You put a video up.
Yeah. I reached from my
that.
acoustic for the first time in a while, and it sounded a lot better. It just when you do that, it's weird. It just makes you want to just pick it up all the time again.
Fair enough. So you've all sorry, we've got a friend joining us now. how would you describe, say, if anyone hasn't heard of State of Error before, how would you describe State of Error to someone who's like an elevator pitch, as you will?
Pop punk pensioners is probably the best,
Brilliant.
the best soundbite that we've had so far.
I quite like crappy punk rock, but I think Blink-182 took
That's
that one.
Blinks. Yeah.
I suppose we're kind of like, we're melodic punk. I don't know if we fully fall into the category of pop punk because I don't know if we're poppy enough.
Right. Okay.
But we're somewhere between like punk and pop punk.
I think if we released songs that sounded like Nobody's Fool every song, then yeah, we'd be pop punk. But we've decided to go like a bit of like an electric sound in some songs, and a bit rocky, a bit shouty, and then poppy. It's all over the place, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be pop punk, you have to be popular, because pop stands for popular. We're not popular, so we're just punk.
Saying that though, your Spotify, you put up some songs last year and it exploded, didn't it? You know, you got some really good feedback on there, and a lot of people listening. I suppose as a band, you know, starting out, especially have been together 14 years, that must feel amazing looking at that and seeing how much support you're getting from your fans.
Oh, it was mental, and it came out of nowhere. Like December 2018, we put Nobody's Fool out, which was the first single off the album that we just recorded, and it blew up in a massive way. Spotify featured it as a track on a few of their playlists, and then we got the same treatment with the second single and the third single as well. So I mean, it's been amazing, and the support from Spotify and Apple Music as well has been great, and it's really boosted the album.
No, that's absolutely amazing. So obviously you have a creative process. How does your creative process work? And especially now in a time where we're having to talk to each other across webcams, how have you been finding it writing and talking and keeping the band mentality at a normality, as you will?
I don't think we've been doing too bad, to be honest.
No, we're deciding to put some covers out, which we're kind of just recording our individual bits at our own houses at the minute. But in terms of creative, I mean, usually we'd write songs. But Richard will come to us with an idea of some melodies or a riff or something. Me and Mikey kind of put our bits to it in the practice room, and we all just kind of collaborate to bring it all together. Whereas I guess now, at the minute, we're not really writing, but I've kind of done some things. I'm sending stuff to Richard, and I don't know if they're doing vice versa, but we're just trying to keep something going.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, obviously you've all mentioned sort of like bands that have inspired you a little bit, like Green Day and obviously Blink-182 and stuff like that. But if you could collaborate with anyone, whether it be a big band such as them or even like bands that you maybe have collaborated with in the past, who would it be and why?
Is that one? Should we take one each?
Yeah, take one each. Yeah.
Who's going first?
We'll start. Well, yeah, your idea. We'll start with you, Danny.
All right. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to kind of go for two. I'm going to go for my uncle, Rob. I would have loved to have collaborated with him, but sadly, he's no longer with us. Never got the chance to collaborate with him. Would have loved it because he's kind of one of the reasons I started playing. Forgot to mention that. And if I was to collaborate with anyone big, it'd definitely be, I want a song produced by John Feldman, but featuring Mark Hoppus on vocals, just because Mark Hoppus is the iconic pop punk vocalist in my eyes.
Yeah, no, of course, that makes sense. And we'll go over to you, Richard.
I still don't know. It's a difficult question. I suppose, like I mentioned before, the Matches were one of the bands that really got me into music, and I would have loved to have had an opportunity to do but they're no longer a band anymore, which is sad. But I concur with what Danny said about working with John Feldman. I think he's a fantastic producer, and I've been a big fan of Goldfinger as well for forever.
Oh, brilliant. And then over to you. There's one left.
It'd probably be, like I say, probably working with specifically probably Mark Hoppus again, like what Danny said. It's just got that sound, pop punk anthem type feel to it. It probably sums up our band sound the best. Yeah, and then John Feldman, that's who he's been working with for the past few years with Blink. And the sound that they produce now. The drums just sound massive. The bass and the guitars just sound amazing. So that'd be the dream.
Oh, brilliant. So moving on to a question which sort of fits in quite nicely with that one. If you could open a show for anybody, who would it be?
Ooh, that's another good question.
You know, you sent us the questions before, Ryan, and I said like, oh yeah, we'll prepare. We didn't prepare.
No, I kind of gathered that. It's all right. Well, I sent them to Richard. Whether he sent them to you guys is not my fault.
There's the flaw in your plan. There's the flaw in your plan, right?
They never listen to me, Ryan. They never listen to me.
I did see it, but I'd probably forget what I'd say anyway.
The thing is, though, most of them I sort of make up as I go along as well, and then bounce them off. So you know, it's just how it works.
To answer your question, for me personally, I'd probably want to open for Green Day because their sound fits with us the best, and I think we'd probably appeal to their audience. So, yeah, I think I'd come with that.
Yeah, I'm going to say Green Day, yeah.
My dream gig would be to open up for Bayside with I Am the Avalanche as main support. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So I know that. Sorry, carry on.
Oh no, I'm done.
Fair enough. No, I know that that Danny and Mikey both said Green Day. Now, if I'm right in saying so, you have actually played with Green Day in a capacity. Tell us a little bit about that, Richard.
Well, I just, my busy mate Billy Joe.
I just start off by shooting him down. He actually got the lyrics wrong.
Shut up.
Why?
It was a high pressure situation.
I suppose standing in front of thousands of people is something's going to go on, isn't it? You know.
It was Sheffield Arena in 2017, and I was at the front of the gig. And as you probably know, Green Day often get members of the audience up to sing songs.
Yeah.
So it was like, who knows the lyrics to the second verse of Longview? And I was basically screaming like a little girl. And I got dragged up, and then I was like, it's crazy. Like it was a bit like a blur. I don't really properly remember it. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't fucking breathe. It was mental.
I bet it was fascinating though, just to have that sort of energy, and I bet it'd be amazing, especially a band like Green Day.
Yeah, you had the perfect opportunity to big the band up as well, because Billy Joe was like, "Oh, you've got a new tattoo," and Richard could have been like, "Yeah, it's my band logo," but no,
yeah, didn't say the band or anything.
That's quite cool tattoo with that.
But the funny thing is, on stage, he's like selling tickets, selling T-shirts, and he won't shut up about promoting us. And then stage like that, he don't do it.
Yeah, to thousands of people. No, it's just sod's law, though, isn't it? I suppose in that sort of situation as well, you've got to consider that it's not something that all right, you were standing there screaming like a little girl, but the chances of him turning around being like you, I bet you were thinking, shit.
Exactly. You get blindsided by it. And also, one of the things that I noticed having done it is they're running a really slick stage show. Yeah. So it's very quick. They drag you up. They've got all of their team who literally throw you up onto the stage. And then you sing the verse. And then as soon as you've sung the verse, you've been hurried off again. It's really like bang, bang, bang.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a short break there. Whilst we take this break, I believe that, Richard, you're going to be doing a track for us.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what song you're going to do, and I will mute everyone else and put you into the spotlight.
So, if it works, this song is on our album that we put out, Silence Fiction, last year. It was the second single off it, and it's called Rosie, and it goes like this. Let me tell you about a girl I knew with issues as big as the sky. Hair like the sunrise, eyes a sapphire blue, she'll bleed your vernacular dry. She'll never know just what she did for me. The pain she saved me from, she'll never know. She caused the tragedy before she'd even gone. Rosie, 6 weeks meant the world to me. You disowned me when your demons would set you free. Rosie, for 6 weeks you were
were all I need. You're too lonely to perpetuate you and me. She's insatiable, she keeps her passions hid from the public domain. Cause if you knew the truth, you'd have a list of questions as long as her name. She'll never know just what she did for me. The pain she saved me from, she'll never know. She caused a tragedy before she'd even good. Rosie, 6 weeks meant the world to me. You disowned me when your demons would set you free. Rosie, for 6 weeks you were all I need. You're too lonely to perpetuate you and me. Radiate anxieties, they all reflect right back off me. To sink this ship and set us free. Rosie, it's been months since you spoke to me. Rosie, 6 weeks meant the world to me. You disowned me when your demons would set you free. Rosie, for 6 weeks you were all I need. You're too lonely to perpetuate you and me. Rosie, 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 Rosie. Here we go.
That was brilliant, thank you. I'm just trying to figure out how to unmute myself. I'll unmute everyone else as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick short break and just do a bit of self-promotion whilst I'm at it. And we'll be back in just a jiffy. Welcome back. If you're just joining us here on the social lockdown, my name is Ryan Paul Troy, the Yorkshire filmmaker, and I'm joined by these guys right here. State of Error, how are you all doing?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Hear them birds very loudly, Mikey.
They are quite loud birds.
One's just come over and started shouting at me.
Always flock to Nike.
So, first question in the second part, and I'm going to go to you first, Mikey. What is the most useless talent that you've got?
I don't think I've got any talents useful or, yeah. Oh, I don't know, actually. Probably, it's a really difficult one.
Good at growing beards.
Grooming. No.
Grooming?
Grooming myself, not other people. That's not allowed anymore. We're not in the 70s.
I have to cut
don't
that
know.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's PG, man. Keep it PG.
We're not PG. We're not PG.
Yeah, you're doing well so far.
Not to swear.
I've probably, probably put winging it. It's not really specific, but I can just picking up tasks and just being able to do something without learning too much about it. Quite handy.
Yeah, no, that's quite a cool one.
You're a jack of all trades, aren't you, Mikey?
Yeah, I am.
Winging it's an
master at
accurate
none.
description.
And what about yourself, Danny?
My most useless talent is probably the fact that I'm quite good at video games because it's absolutely useful for nothing. I'm wasting time.
I suppose at this sort of situation right now,
Yeah.
it's perfect, isn't it? Really.
I've wasted a lot of time.
And what about yourself, Richard?
This is a funny one. I'm really good at standing on my tiptoes.
All right, okay.
Walk around all the time.
I've got a really high instep and I tend to walk around like on the ends of my feet. So I can stand really high on my tiptoes.
So what made you think I'm going to start playing guitar instead of doing ballet?
Well, I did actually used to do tap dance when I was a kid. So.
No, that's quite fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
That's quite cool. So moving on. So it's a Tuesday. It's about 1:25 and what would you normally be doing right now if it wasn't for COVID-19?
Working.
Yeah, at work.
Although technically I am still working because I'm working from home.
Yeah, I'll still be working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it is Tuesday. Even though on Tuesday me and Danny will actually be working, but
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Everything's just merging into one. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Every day, it's just I don't even know what day we're on anymore.
I think I'm the only one out of a few. I'm having to actually go back still into work most of the week, so it's not really changed much for me.
Yeah. So it's like it's just a really odd situation because, like I say, some of us are having to go to work, some of us are self-employed and can't get any money coming in, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, the three of us are lucky, to be honest, that we can all, we've all still got our jobs and we can all still work.
Yeah, no, it's really good because a lot of people are getting paid less to sit at home, and then it's just some people are not getting paid at all. It's just a very odd situation that we're living in at the moment. But it's just that's all. It's not even something you can talk about. Yeah, so moving off from that sort of side of things. Obviously, you've performed in a lot of places. Where is the best place that you've performed?
Bingley Music Live was fantastic. Like that was once in a lifetime thing. That maybe who knows.
But
yes,
when was that?
Saying that, I'd probably say I know Bingley was a big one, but I think one of the last ones we played probably Key Club. The past two Key Club gigs have been a really nice, intimate atmosphere, sweaty, everyone joining in. That's what a gig is to me.
Yeah, I think
the spectacle of Bingley Music Live was something we'd not experienced before, which was quite unique in that aspect. But Key Club was more obviously a venue type gig, but it's probably one of the better venue gigs we've had just because there was a lot of people there. The sound was amazing. Just a good night overall.
Yeah, it feels like a proper little punk rock show, and I think they're the gigs that are the most fun to play. I don't think Bingley was the most fun gig we've ever played, but it was like an experience. It was so different.
Yeah, the atmosphere of it was just fascinating. I bet.
We've got the full video from our last gig at the Key Club, which is probably one of the favourite gigs we've ever played in terms of how fun it was. And the plan is to do a watch party with it at some point soon, and so everyone can watch the video. People who weren't there.
That's a really good idea because obviously at this moment in time, as a musician, you're not gigging, you're not making money, and and you've still got to somehow try and keep on top of everything, which goes quite nicely onto the next question, which is how do you feel that the internet has impacted the music business, not just as a whole, but for yourself as a band?
Ooh, that's an interesting one because the point at which we started taking the music seriously, I suppose, was around the time of the end of MySpace and the start of Facebook, like between 2007, 2009, that kind of time. So we've always been very in the internet generation of bands, if you like, from the start of that. I think platforms like Spotify have and are a really good opportunity for bands to boost their audience. I mean, look at what happened with the songs that we put out, you know, being put on Spotify playlists and stuff. We were being played in countries all around the world that we would never have been able to reach before. So I think that aspect of it is good.
I'll wipe it up.
I think it could, things like Spotify and Apple Music, that could probably be a lot fairer in the way that they pay musicians, because I mean, they've given us that exposure and we've had a lot of plays and stuff out of it. We've had some money out of it as well, but the amount of plays we've had and the amount of money we've received, it's just a bit underwhelming.
Especially with the amount of money that they probably make from
everyone
signing up to it and such, and
Exactly, yeah. That's just a common complaint, isn't it, with streaming platforms? So
it
is. The thing is as well, in this day and age as well, it's amazing that you can do it like you're saying, but at the same time, because people aren't buying albums as much as they used to do, and they're not going out and you rely on gigs, and obviously with that sort of situation not happening now, you sort of have to rely on that Spotify, and if you're not getting enough money from it, and that revenue is a vicious circle, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're in a fairly good position with everything that's happening around COVID-19, because we've all got the facilities to be able to do recording. Like our album, we completely produced ourselves. So we've got those skills and we've got that ability to do that, which means we can keep putting music out throughout this process and keep releasing things to keep people interested.
Yeah.
Which is
a lot of people don't have that, do they? So
no, that's cool. So obviously you've got a lot of songs over the 14 years you've been together. Now, what is your favourite song to have performed, whether it be one from when you first started or a newer song that you've got on your new album? We'll start with Danny.
Yes, I'm getting my choice in now. Caught in the Rip, love playing that live. It's amazing. It's just it's off his first album. It's probably one of the only songs off that album that I can still listen back to and enjoy. It's just really energetic, straight up pop punk. It's great to play live, really good.
Yeah. And we've got you, Mikey.
It sounds like I'm copying, but Caught in the Rip as well. It's just got that chorus. It's kind of a pop punk anthem type thing. And then probably off the new album, Nobody's Full, just because it was that big kind of release right at the start that everybody really loved. And yeah, it's probably those two are the favourite. I don't think there's anything I don't dislike playing, but those two jump out.
And then Richard, finally, what's yours?
I've always really enjoyed playing Forever Waiting. I don't know what it is. It's very much like the kind of music that I listen to on a daily basis, really, and I feel a lot of energy from it. And then another one I enjoy to performing live is Sunset Boulevard as well, just because of the audience reaction. That's always been a fan favourite, and when you see people getting into it and jumping about and moshing, you get more into it as well.
Yeah. So it is a bit of a fun one. What's the most trouble that you've ever gotten into and why? And we'll start with you, Mikey, this time first.
Oh, most trouble. Oh, I usually get away with things. I think the worst thing, it wasn't even bad in my eyes with Danny, actually. We'd been making a treehouse in his local park, and we were walking back, and we had the hammers in his hands at the same time, and someone must have reported us. And then police just kind of stopped us and said, "Oh, why are you carrying these tools?" And that's it's not really punk rock, but that's the most trouble we've got into.
Police
at least you said drop your weapons.
Yeah, we have weapons.
Police are always stopping me and saying, "Why are you carrying these?" Talking about you.
That's all I said.
Did it cut out then?
Yeah, it cut out. Let's say that again.
I just said, police are always stopping me saying, "Why are you carrying these tools?" They're talking about Mikey and Danny.
That's brilliant. I like that.
We'd argue that we carry you.
Yeah, we're the carriers.
And then what about yourself, Danny?
It's a part of my history I'm not particularly proud of, but I used to be one of the local youths that wasn't very nice, and we used to throw eggs at people's windows, and I got stopped and done for that by the police. So yeah.
Oh.
I thought you got away. You got away, yeah. We got away because we were quite little whippersnappers.
Yeah, but we
We
had
didn't
to
get
go
caught.
back. We had to go back for what it mattered. Someone got caught. Anyway, someone got caught, and we had to go back for him. So that's the most
Fair
trouble.
So obviously you've all been in this game for a while, and people are always giving advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And we'll start with you, Richard.
So this is probably going back about 10 years now. Sean Harris from the Matches did a live stream, and he was accepting questions and stuff. So one of the questions I asked him is, what advice would you have for young bands starting out? And this was actually a really good piece of advice that he gave, which was, being in a band is like putting all your eggs in one basket and then throwing that basket at the wall. So whatever you do in music, make sure you're doing something that you enjoy because you enjoy it. And I thought that was really good advice, and that's always kind of resonated with me. And it's what we kind of live by, I suppose. Is we always just do stuff because it's what we want to do, because we enjoy doing it.
No, that's really, I like that. That's quite cool, and I like that. And what about yourself, Danny? Is it the same, or is it something a bit different?
No, the one I saw was a bit different. It was not advice directed at me. It was just kind of something that I saw in an article. I think it was, might have been someone discussing something with Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, but they said, why have you started doing more singles as opposed to albums? And he said the future of how music is at the minute is in singles. And I'd probably say he's right to a degree, because, I mean, you can post albums out there, brand new albums, and you can get 5, 6, 7 tracks that just get completely forgotten. Whereas if you post singles and you schedule it, you can hit the right kind of market at the right times and keep yourself relevant at the same time, whilst not overworking yourself with what an album comes with. So I'd probably say singles over albums is probably the way to go. That's probably the best thing I've heard.
I like that. And what about yourself, Mikey?
It's just kind of a self-learned thing over the years. It's like the first few years when we got to like playing Bingley and stuff, I was like, oh, maybe, you know, take it more seriously now. We'll get noticed, blah blah blah. But when you think like that, you put too much pressure on it, and it takes the fun away from actually playing and writing. So what the past few years have kind of shown us all as a band is, don't rush anything. Work together. Make sure you agree on the full, like, if you write a song, make sure you like every single bit of it. Don't just write a bit for yourself. Work as a group, and then you just start enjoying the band again and playing live and playing the songs that you've actually wrote. There's no song you hate to play. You look forward to every show, and it just makes it a bit more worthwhile.
Fair enough. That sounds quite spot on, that, yeah. So thank you very much for joining us. I think we've slowly run out of time before the feed runs out. So I want to just, on the last note, can you let people know how they can get in touch, how they can find your music, and how they can find your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, socials?
The easiest way is probably going to our website, which is www.stateoferror.com. There's links on there to all of our social media pages, so like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. They're the main ones that we use. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Simple.
So you're going to finish off with sing us another song, aren't you, Richard?
Yeah.
So what are you going to sing us, and why?
So I'm going to finish off with the song that we always finish off with live, which is Sunset Boulevard. As I mentioned before, it's a fan favourite, and it has turned now 10 years old this year. So to celebrate that, we're actually re-recording Sunset Boulevard, and we're going to be putting it out as a single sometime in the next couple of months. It's pretty much ready to go now, just a few finishing touches. So I'm going to play that. Welcome to Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are jarred by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. Yeah.
wanna make millions, living like celebrities. But money's got his fucked up millions. They get to grace strings on TVs. Individuals with zero talent, corrupted by the fantasy. What happens when the money's absent? Nothing in life comes for free. I'll walk these golden so I can street. Whoa, whoa, and let my mind declare defeat. Welcome to Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. It's Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. Neurotic, alcoholic junkies with more money than sense. They're nothing but performing monkeys, decaying into fusion abstinence. Showing them us the words it's something, but they come to those who wait. They can't all be good for nothing, encapsulations of hate. I'll walk these golden psychic streets. Whoa, whoa, and let my mind declare defeat. Welcome to Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. It's Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. Where the wolves in their alleyways will never join the scene where the scar on a pristine face, if you know what I mean. Where the wolves in their alleyways will never join the scene where the scar on a pristine face, if you know what I mean. I'll walk these golden so I can streets. Whoa, whoa, and let my mind declare defeat. Welcome to Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of perpetual fame. It's Sunset Boulevard, where all our minds are shot by embers from the flame of Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you guys for joining me on this very strange Tuesday. And I will see you all another time. And thank you again for watching. You guys have been State of Error. I've been Ryan Paul Troy, the Yorkshire filmmaker. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.
Cheers, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.